Hi everyone, Jai Ho my dear students. I am Ratnakar Suryamshi, a social science teacher from SK Public School. I welcome you all to the SK Digital. Today I am going to teach to the class 9 history chapter, that is the first one, that is the French Revolution. So before moving into this lesson, we will have an introductory part, that is we will start with one beautiful story that is completely real and related to this French Revolution. So let's start that story. That is on 14 July 1789. On 14 July 1789, the situations in Paris were not at all good. I mean, the violence was about to take place in the Paris, and one important point, that is the Paris is the capital of France. The Paris is the capital of France, and in the Paris the situations were not at all good and the violence was about to take place. Over 7,000 men and women have gathered in the city called Paris. So because of this, king ordered the troops to take over the control of Paris. As king ordered the troops to take over the control of Paris, at that time there was rumor spread across the Paris that the king would soon order the troops to shoot the people who have gathered in the city called Paris. That too, 7,000 men and women, 7,000 men and women gathered in the city called Paris, and they were about to make violence in the city called Paris. Then these 7,000 men and women, they formed a people's militia. As the king have ordered the troops to take over the control, the city of Paris, then these 7,000 men and women, they formed the people's militia and they began to loot the government buildings, as well as they began to destroy the government buildings in search of weapons, in search of ammunitions, and finally one group marched towards the eastern part of the city of Paris and stormed the fortress prison called Bastille. One group moved towards the eastern part of Paris and destroyed a fortress prison called Bastille. After destroying this fortress prison called Bastille, the commander of Bastille was also killed and the prisoners were released. So let's come back a little bit. Fortress prison, a prison which is protected by the walls of fort. Prison which is protected by the walls of fort, that is called as a fortress prison. So Bastille, it was a fortress prison located in the city called Paris. It was destroyed by the people's militia. And then this type of riots were spreaded across the whole France from the Paris. And at the same time, the remains of the Bastille, a fortress prison of Paris, its remains were sold in the market to the people who wanted to keep a memory of this fortress prison called Bastille. And this was the beginning of the French Revolution. And it is just the beginning. And this was ended with the execution of the King of France. I mean, this revolution was ended with the execution of King of France. Then question arises commonly. What is that question? Who was the king at that time? Who was the king when this was happening in the whole France? When this was happening in the Paris city? And the king was 16th Louis. Who was the king? The 16th Louis from the Bourbon family. He was the king of France during the time or during the year of 1789. So this is one short story related to the French Revolution I have delivered in front of you. So remaining will continue in the next class. Jai Hind. Thank you everyone.